This episode of What About Pod brought to you by What About Pod t-shirts. You asked for it, we made some. Head over to whataboutpod.com, click on the t-shirt banner, and buy yourself a couple. What else are you going to give as Christmas presents?
I'm here, I'm here. Let the bells ring out and the banners fly. Feast your eyes on me. It's too good to be true, but I'm here, I'm here.
Recording live from the WAP studios. Welcome to What About Pod?
Oh, please, what is that? Don't tell me.
The podcast that turns something into nothing and further goes on about nothing.
Don't try and church it up, son.
I'm producer and resident doorstop Jay, along for the ride with your host, Chris Squires.
This is too much. I couldn't be more excited. The thought of it makes me pure completely mental, I must say.
Oh, dear Lord. Finally, we get to sit here and look at each other.
I think I like the other setup better.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Where I can only look at the back of your head.
My better side.
Or your other side. Any other side other than looking at you direct.
That's the worst side.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
I don't know.
Welcome to the What About.
Welcome to you.
Welcome to you. Let's wrap it up. So, without much further ado, we blew it.
What do you mean we blew it? What happened?
Podcast awards slate was announced on Sunday, and
oh man, that's never a good sound.
We did not make the top 10 in either People's Choice or in comedy. So until next year, screw off Podcast Awards. You're done.
See you next year. We'll make a run at you, Adam Carolla.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I guess that's kind of the biggest news of all of it, or the more, I won't say surprising part of it. In the comedy category, there was, a lot of heavy hitters in there.
I thought we were more educational.
Well, and I was telling you before we went on the air, maybe we need to reclassify ourselves as like a humorous gynecological podcast.
Did you say gynecological?
I don't know.
That could be fun.
It seemed that there's more wiggle room. Pardon the pun.
Do we get to use forceps?
Well, speculum, perhaps.
Ooh, there you go.
Oh, I think I just heard 87,000 women just slam their listening device to the ground.
And
screw you. What about pod?
And Coulter's getting a call.
Stay away from my speculum. So right. So in the comedy, there's Adam Carolla show, and not to besmirch any of these shows, because I think all of them are very worthy, but
very worthy.
Adam Carolla, the WTF with Mark Maron, all stuff I listen to. So I can't, you can't get too angry with not making the top 10, not making the voting stage, but next year. And then it's funny, the People's Choice, I have a feeling it was probably the most nominated shows. I don't know how they pulled People's Choice.
Well, I kind of went into this sight unseen. I only heard about this from you.
Right. So I watched the slate. It was on Sunday night. They announced the slate, the top 10 for each category, and then they'll be voting after that.
Yeah.
The Listener's Choice, or the whatever that is, the People's Choice Award, is a bunch of really weird. It's a hodgepodge of, there's some very heavy hitters. I believe the Kroll podcast was in there. There's a Harry Potter podcast. It's insanely popular.
Oh, of course. Harry Potter's is and always will be popular, I think.
There is.
To a degree.
It was interesting because some of the shows I hadn't heard of, I got to kind of look into. If you have a niche and you have, a specialty podcast, well, number one, it makes it easier to market, I would think. You are a Harry Potter fan. You want to talk about Harry Potter and hear people talk about Harry Potter.
Say, here's a Harry Potter podcast.
Alakazam. There you go. Bazingo. What does Harry Potter say?
Abracadabra.
I'm pretty sure that's not it.
Abracapocus.
Karukas Madukas.
Pocus cadabra.
So one of those words, I'm sure. I think.
I'm a vampire. Yeah, well, I'm an empire.
There was a vampire podcast too.
Oh, really?
Twilight, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Sparkling vampires.
So unless we're going to sell out and just go whole hog into one of those, I'm really happy with where we are. It was really kind of surprising to be nominated, to find out that we were nominated. And there was tons, pre-nomination, there was tons of good, totally nerdy info that I shared with Jay, and I'm not going to share on the air because it's just a bunch of percentages.
Well, here's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Are we still funny?
I think we are. I don't know.
Okay.
But the other good
we can
news,
start somewhere.
The big news, on When Life Gives You Lemons,
Find a new God.
Throw them at somebody else. We cranked up our Stitcher rating. We're in the top 1,000 podcasts on Stitcher now, which is amazing to me.
Yeah.
We've never...
Cue the applause.
Yeah. 958.
Out of 22,000 podcasts.
Over 22,000.
On Stitcher.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Well, the nice thing is we made the top movers list quite some time ago, but that's the change in a 1 week sampling of where you were versus where you are. So,
right. And that was a while back.
And we jumped from I think at the time, 15,000. We jumped up to 8 or 7,000.
Yeah, I want to say we were 7,000 something.
Right. Which, you can hear my little boy.
Aw.
He's sad. He can be sad out there for a little while longer.
Poor Jack.
So you can make the top movers list simply by having a greater listenership any 1 week as opposed to the week before it.
So it compares yourself to yourself.
Based upon the week before.
Based upon your history.
So if you came in and you were at 15,000 and you had 100 people listen to your podcast, I have no idea what it was, you could jump that percentage because you've improved your listenership by 100 over the span of 1 week, so you could bump up. Anyway, you make the top movers list. Now we're in the top 1,000, and we didn't make the list, so it's not like we had a 1 week bump, a 1 week spike.
We were just moving steady and steady and steady.
Steadier and steadier and
steady as she goes. So
big thanks to everybody who listens on Stitcher. Please keep doing so.
And please pass the word.
Pass the word. No, not what's the word. Pass the word.
Oh, boy.
Pass.
Where's that been?
Flashback, I know. I think we deflowered the dictionary of all meaningless... What
meaningless terms?
Archaic.
Archaic. Yeah, very good. Yeah,
boom.
Archaic terms.
Vocabulary, bitches. Archaic terms. Shut up. Yeah, so we haven't played What's the Word in a long time. But hey, maybe that's something we can effort for an upcoming episode.
Well, we are good at deflowering things, too.
Well,
Some.
Lock up your children and goats.
Especially the goats.
So, moving on. This has been on my mind for a couple of days now. Jay, have you seen the giraffe joke floating around on Facebook?
Yes, I have, and it drives me crazy.
Well, here's the iteration that I got, and we were talking a little bit about this before we started, and I'll just ask you the giraffe joke verbatim, and it is as follows: It's 3 a.m. The doorbell rings, and you wake up. Unexpected visitors. It's your parents, and they're there for breakfast. You have strawberry jam, honey, wine, bread, and cheese. What's the first thing you open?
The door.
It's actually incorrect.
What?
One more time.
How is that? The window?
No. Yes. Because
are they cat burglars?
When God closes a door, he opens a window.
Yes, he does.
Except if you live in an apartment on the 4th story, you're pretty much screwed. It's 3 a.m. The doorbell rings and you wake up.
Yes.
Unexpected visitors. It's your parents. Anyway, strawberry jam, honey, wine, cheese, blah, blah, blah. What's the first thing you open? It's not the door.
It's got to be the door. You got to open the door.
The doorbell rings and you wake up. What's the first thing you open?
A can of whoop ass. It's the first thing I do in the morning.
What's the first thing you open when you wake up?
Mouth. Your mouth. Your eyes.
Ah, your eyes.
Really?
Your eyes. The answer to the giraffe joke. Well, I've seen iterations that don't say, and you wake up. That's intimated. In this one, it's literally the way it reads.
Okay.
So if it doesn't say, all and right. You wake up, then it's the door.
Okay.
If it's, and you wake up, the first thing you open are your eyes.
Right. Well, it's really all in how it's worded. Because
exactly.
I've heard others.
The other one, there's another one out there that does not say, and you wake up. It just says it's 3 a.m. and the doorbell rings.
Exactly. That's the one that I saw, in which case that answer would be the door.
Correct. But if it says, and you wake up, it means you were asleep. Which means, unless you're a rare breed of cat, your eyes are closed.
Speaking of cats, cat story of the week, coming up later.
Oh, well, what a segue. I have a couple more items of old and new business, and then we'll get into the meat of the show.
Sure thing.
SpeakPipe Challenge. We threw that out there a couple episodes ago. It's going to be running through the 15th of November. And all we ask you to do is go to our website. There is a SpeakPipe Challenge page that will explain in great detail what you must do to qualify for the SpeakPipe Challenge. It is a knock-knock joke. You click on the SpeakPipe icon on our homepage, record a knock-knock joke, send it to us along with your name and your email address so we can get a hold of you, and win $25 from Amazon.com. Best one wins $25.
There you go.
Seems like the easiest money in the world.
We'll even help you out. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Orange.
Orange who?
Orange, you glad I'm not an apple?
Orange, you glad my eyes are open at 3 a.m? Aren't you?
Before you open the door.
Orange, you glad I'm a giraffe? Orange, you glad?
A giraffe that opens 4-story windows?
Yeah, and then God closes the door.
Well, where does the giraffe come into play? I don't get it. I mean, I get it.
That's like
a
punishment,
why,
I guess.
Why a giraffe? I mean, why not be like a hippo or a gazelle or a gnu?
A new. No canoes is good canoes with Gary Canoe.
That'll do, pig. That'll do.
Oh. So, all right. So, Speak Pipe Challenge. Get on it, people. Google one. It doesn't have to be something you wrote. The delivery, I'd say, would be important.
Yeah. Follow the formula.
Follow the formula and then add some energy. Exuberant knock-knock joke is always better than, either that or go totally deadpan.
Imperious!
Jesus Christ. That being said, there's only one other kind of bit of new business, and we added it to the website just this past week. We are going to start putting out a very non-obtrusive, non-invasive show newsletter. Probably be, I'm going to guess, with our schedules, once a month-ish, maybe.
Sure.
Give you an idea of what we're up to, maybe get some behind-the-scenes stuff, show information, and what we're looking forward to in the future. So get over to our website, throw our email address in, or sign up for the newsletter. Get that done.
Check it out. It's snazzy.
We've made some updates.
Yes.
And we also have a poll. We're going to have a weekly poll. Last week's poll was for episode 27, but this will be 29.
This is 29.
So so let's go in the Wayback Machine. But every episode, every release will have a poll question, and your participation is appreciated and cordially invite you to get off your ass and do something.
We wait with bated breath.
We wait with bait.
Yes.
Wait a minute.
Like nightworms, nightcrawlers.
Nightworms. Oh, no, not the nightworms.
It's the nightworm.
Let's get, I think we should just get straight into news this week. What do you think?
Let's hit it.
From the news studios, it's the What About Pod News, starring Producer J, with commentary from the man himself, smartest man in the universe.
In a case of the rich become richer, Detroit Lions wide receiver Nate Burleson scored himself some free pizza. Now, how did he score some free pizza, you ask? From DiGiorno's, because it's not delivery.
It's DiGiorno.
And broken arms will apparently get you free pizza for a year. Now, here's how it went down. In week 4, Nate Burleson, now this is a non-sports related injury.
You think?
Oh, of course. Well, he broke his arm in 2 places after he crashed his car into a guardrail after picking up a pizza that was in his passenger seat. So what happened was he was reaching for the pizza. It fell. He went to go
Was he like swerving and the pizza like slid off the seat, or was he eating in the car? I wonder.
I think he was trying to reach for a slice and then it just went flying and then he reached for it and then bam, he just hit the center median wall.
Nice.
Now here's a little thing I have here. This happened at 2:30 in the morning.
Oh yeah.
But there were no indicators of alcohol on the scene or any indication of quote unquote other drugs.
Where do you get a pizza at 2:30 in the morning? I guess
actually,
Detroit.
That's a very good question. But I would imagine Detroit. I mean, there's got to be like a 24-hour pizzeria joint in Detroit somewhere.
We're in Phoenix. How many 24-hour pizza joints do you know of in the Phoenix area?
I can't think of any.
If there are any in our listening audience who would like a pizza for plug arrangement, send in an email to podcast@whataboutpod.com. We'll gladly queen your pizza, please.
Or better yet, give us a call. Per se. 480-382-3799, studio hotline.
Studio hotline. Or speak pipe us, bitches.
That's right. Knock jokes and free pizza.
Now that's a party.
Yes. we have the Stella. We have the Red Hook. Just bring yourself.
All right. So you're out at 2:30 in the morning to get some pizza.
Right.
You're not drunk.
No.
Well, all right. Now let's keep in mind here that you are a Detroit Lion.
This is true.
And you get pulled over in Detroit, or
yes.
you crash your car in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
How much benefit do you get from being a public figure, even if you had 2 or 3 beers, not plastered? Maybe you've had a little bit to drink and thought a 2:30 pizza would be a good idea.
Actually, I've heard of this, and it works both ways.
I think it does.
Because there are some out there, That would just give you a slap on the wrist. Oh, you're Nate Burleson,
Right.
Detroit Lions wide receiver.
I'm
Cool.
a
Hey,
big-
man.
yeah, I'm a big
oh, yeah,
Lions fan.
you're not bad. Go ahead. No, you're cool. But then you have
Yep.
the sticklers,
Well,
the ones that are enforcing the law.
I wouldn't even say it's
that
sticklers.
get hardline about it. Yeah. Well, I mean, they're doing their job.
Well, they're doing
you've
their
had
job.
you've had something. You're intoxicated. Here you go. Oh, and by the way, you're a high profile figure that plays for the Detroit
That's
Lions.
why I'm going to bust
This
you. Right.
is going to look real good on me.
Well, not necessarily good on me. So I think some.
Well, sure it will.
Well, to who?
For the cop, because he's
In front
taken
of-
down
in
a
front of
public
who?
figure. I mean, to show that this public figure isn't above the law.
Well, right. But and I think the other part of it is too a little bit of, I don't want to say jealousy, but you want to be a hard ass. You want to be the dick, and no one gets away with this on my routine. On my schedule.
On my watch.
On my watch, no one gets away with pizzaing and driving. But I think that's distracted driving regardless, right? He should have been cited.
Yeah,
for that.
it is distracted driving.
That's right.
Yes. It didn't say whether or not he was cited. I imagine he would have been distracted driving regardless.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the same as texting. It's
Right.
the same as any of those things.
But how about that? Breaks his arm. He scores free pizza for a year.
Right. Well,
DiGiorno's
not
for
only
a year.
that,
which
he's a
DiGiorno's is pretty
multimillionaire.
decent. See, and that's the other thing. This only happens to the already haves.
Right.
You have the millions. Oh, you break your arm. Oh, well, here's free pizza for a year.
Well,
Why don't you donate that pizza? In
you don't
Detroit,
get-
they're starving kids.
because you don't get any free pub.
Yeah, this is true.
Nate Burleson, well, the picture on the story is him tweeting it out saying, hey,
Right.
it's not delivered, it's DiGiorno. And I have no idea how many Twitter followers. I'll get a production assistant on Twitter to figure out how many Twitter followers Nate Burleson has.
Who's our production assistant today?
Me.
Okay.
I'll be back.
Christine.
Yeah. I'll be right with you.
I'll be right back.
I'll be right with you. Nathaniel E. Burleson has it's a very modest. I mean, it's 118,000 Twitter followers, which is a big number, but for a
he's a
professional athlete,
He's a number 3 receiver.
right? Well, 2 until he broke his
Number
arm.
2, number 3,
right? But still,
depending.
That's 118,000 Twitter followers. So it's 118,000 people that saw. Well, not to mention all the retweets too. You get
Right.
Then a mushroom cloud.
301 retweets at the time this came out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a big deal.
Sure, absolutely. And congratulations, Nate Burleson went to Nevada.
Really good.
Yeah.
Good call.
Went to Nevada.
I think we should get
University of Nevada.
a little. What about sports?
What about sports?
Going on from maybe a side.
That's a great idea,
A
actually.
side cast or something, because you have a lot of sports trivia knowledge that I feel is wasted on our show.
Well, I had a pop quiz from an old buddy of mine.
Pop quiz, mother.
Pop quiz, hot shot. And he was quizzing me on some of the NFL players and the colleges they went to, and surprisingly, I nailed quite a bit of them.
Nevada, I would not have known. I know a lot, but I didn't know Nevada.
Right.
Charles Johnson went to.
Michigan State.
That's Charles Rogers, who only had like 200.
Oh, Charles Johnson went to Colorado.
Incorrect. No, I'm talking.
Calvin Johnson.
Calvin
He
Johnson.
went to Georgia Tech.
Oh, there you go. That's
Yeah.
Charles Johnson,
Yeah, he did. Charles Johnson, incidentally, was a wide receiver.
and he went to Colorado.
Yes, he did.
And his quarterback was
Cordell Stewart.
very good. See, you're retarded good at this.
An excellent driver. An excellent driver.
I know all the sports
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Charles
Yeah.
Rogers. Yeah, he went to Michigan State. You're right
Yes.
about that. And did you know that Calvin Johnson in the game against the Cowboys had like 300 and some odd yards.
323,
something like that.
328 yards with one touchdown,
Very
14
good.
receptions.
Very good driver.
Second highest of all time, second to Flipper
He's
Anderson.
very good. Who played for the Los Angeles Rams.
That's right.
Um,
Willie Flipper Anderson.
no, but he had 328 whatever yards. Charles Rogers, who went to Michigan State
Yeah.
and was also a Lions first round draft pick,
Yeah.
had like 224 yards lifetime.
That's pretty close.
It's right there.
So, ladies, have we alienated you?
Yeah,
yet?
between speculum and football talk, I feel like we've been alienated.
Yeah.
Alienated.
Ladies, we want you back.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on to our next story. And yes, Chris, that's it. We're not going to talk about Nate Burleson's broken arm free
Damn
pizza
it, I was
deal
having
again.
such a great time.
I know it. Yeah, well, some poor guy sitting on the toilet in Norway just...
Oh, this'll get the ladies
minding his own business, gets shot in the abdomen by a hunter hunting for moose.
I can hear the ladies just coming back in droves.
I know it, yeah. Guns
Guns and Norwegian hunters. Man, thank God they're done with the football talk. So tell me more about getting shot on the toilet.
Sure thing. Well, a moose hunter in Norway, he was going for a moose.
Going for it?
He was going for the moose. He was going to shoot the moose. He was going to bring the moose down.
All right.
In a very aggressive, gun-wielding kind of way. Well, his shot went errant, and rather than hit the moose, managed to hit a cabin right behind the moose, pierced through a wall, and got a guy doing the deuce. Smacked him right in the abdomen with the bullet.
How do you not know? I have to imagine that he didn't know that there was a cabin. Like, I can't imagine the moose was close to the cabin. I imagine this was probably a high-powered rifle.
I can't imagine the moose was sitting there going, "Hey, how's it going?" right there next to him.
Yeah, so
the moose had to be some distance away, but it's one of those things, and I've seen this. Right. I've seen this where you're just looking at one thing and you're not looking further. I don't know what they call that.
You know what I mean? If it's through the woods, well, it's tunnel vision, right?
Tunnel, I get tunnel vision. Because I don't have anything else.
I don't think. I mean, through the trees and stuff, maybe you couldn't see the cabin. That's. I'm going to guess that was the case. Because if you could see the cabin, that's really irresponsible of a hunter to do that.
Yes, the guy sitting on the toilet, who incidentally was in his mid-70s, he was airlifted to a hospital in southeast Norway, just a little south of Oslo there, the capital city, which I heard is very beautiful, by the way.
I think everyone in Norway and in Sweden lives a pretty decent life from everything I've seen.
Bork, bork, bork. Anyway.
So he got airlifted out. It looks like he lived.
Yes,
he tell the tale.
Yeah, and the guy was old. He was in his 70s.
So very well clearly it was not a critical hit.
Well, it hit the abdomen. But,
right. But
by that time, it had gone through a wall, so the bullet lost a lot of its velocity. By that time, it really just kind of hit him and just...
Well, he got airlifted because he's 70.
Right,
if it was like, if he was 30, you just said, rub some dirt on it.
Yeah, pry it out of there.
You're good.
Yeah. Here, bite on a piece of leather, pull it out, there
tweezers. You go. Man, get Norwegian babies. 70-year-old babies.
Learn how to take a bullet.
Yeah, well, yeah. My dad's probably going to kick my ass now. Thanks, Jay.
You're welcome.
All right, Jay, what's next?
What kind of a dog is Jack?
Jack is a black lab mixed with a giraffe.
Black lab mixed with a giraffe.
He's half dog and half farm. He's a big dog. I don't know what... He's black lab primarily. He's not a purebred, but I don't know what the other half is. Maybe some sort of Dane? I don't know.
Okay, so when you get him treats or you get him food or what have you...
He could get his own freaking treats if he really wanted to.
Oh, yeah. That's what this dog did. In Wenatchee, Washington, a dog reaching for treats accidentally turned on a stove and started a fire, and it caused all kinds of smoke damage to an apartment. Incidentally, this dog was a black Labrador.
See? All right.
Reached for the dog food, turned on the stove on accident.
He's probably a little black lab, though. He can barely reach the stove. Jack can pretty much just stand up and reach anything in my kitchen.
It doesn't say the size of the dog, but the residents that live there, they weren't at home, so the dog did this all on his own, and the emergency crews, they were able to save the dog with mouth-to-snout resuscitation.
I've actually seen mouth-to-snout resuscitation done live.
Really?
It is a very... Well, all it is you hold the dog's muzzle shut.
And blow into his nose, right?
Yeah. Because you can't mouth because the dog's mouth is...
Back to its head, yeah. All the way back there. You can't
open a dog's mouth and get in there. So, you just...
Yeah, unless you had really big lips like Steven Tyler.
Yes. That's like the most ridiculous thing I've... So is that it for news?
That's all I have, and I'm sticking to it.
All right.
Yeah.
This is a special day. We're recording this on International Cat Day. Were you aware of this? It is.
How could I not be aware of this?
Is it National Cat Day or International Cat Day?
Yes, it is, in fact, National Cat Day.
Oh, yes. And the people, the basement dwellers of the world, cheer.
Rejoiced.
They've rejoiced.
There was much rejoicing.
So, as part of National Cat Day, do you have something special planned for us? It's time for Producer Jay's
Cat Story of the Week.
So, in fairness to your cat story of the week, we do owe some credit not only to, where'd you pull that from? The Oatmeal?
Yes, the Oatmeal.
Oatmeal.com, but also to, I won't necessarily call them a sister podcast.
I don't think they're a sister podcast, but The Ugly Truth.
The Ugly Truth.
I saw this on the feed today on the day of this recording, actually.
Right. And we just thought, if we're going to steal from people, why not steal from two of the nicest gals on Actually,
I agree.
They work bluer than we do.
They what?
They work bluer than we do. It's Jamie
Yes,
and
do.
Paula.
Jamie and Paula, that's right.
It's The
Yes,
Ugly
thank
Truth with two E's. So UGL Truth. Especially for the female demographic we've completely alienated due to the football and hunting talk that has taken place earlier in the show.
For the one butch lesbian that might be listening out there.
Yes. Go give Paul and Jamie a listen. They're very funny, and they might have their own speculum. I don't know.
Stir-ups.
Ugly Truth. At least they are totally indie cast, and wish them well. I think they're really funny.
They kind of do what we do.
They do what we do. Like I said, they actually work a little bluer, way bluer than we do. But they're really good. They're very funny. And they're sisters. And
hilarious.
Yes. So go give them a listen. Anyway, back to the cat story of the week. What do we have?
We're going to read off 17 things worth knowing about cats in rapid fire fashion. Did you know your cat's front paws have 5 toes, but the back paws only have 4? Unless your cat is a polydactyl, which means the cat has extra toes. The high rate of polydactyl cats in Boston, USA has led people to refer to the 8-toed cats as Boston thumb cats.
Very interesting. Had your cat been born in ancient Egypt, the Egyptians may have used your kitty to protect crops from rats and other vermin.
Thank God.
Had your cat stuck around in ancient Egypt for long enough, the Egyptians may have come to worship your cat, going so far as to mummify your kitty after death.
Wow, those Egyptians.
Crazy.
Crazy. Did you know, and we covered this, that your cat cannot taste things that are sweet? So, for instance, cat wine, they can't taste how sweet it is, but they can detect the catnip. The taste buds of a cat cannot detect sugar.
No sugar for cats.
No sugar.
Originally, kitty litter was made from sand.
Really?
But in 1848, it was discovered that clay was more absorbent.
Duh. Well, did you know Isaac Newton invented the cat flap door?
I would never, ever, ever have guessed that.
Never?
No.
Galileo,
maybe.
Isaac Newton was a cat person.
Well, but it's a gravity-driven door. I guess that makes sense.
Sure. Why not?
Your cat can see in the dark. Cats can see at 1/6 the light level required for human vision.
So they don't need night goggles.
They do not.
So cats don't get afraid of the dark.
There is no dark. There's only dew.
Here's some famous cat haters. Ike. I like Ike. Dwight D. Eisenhower hated cats. And this may not come as a surprise. Adolf Hitler also hated cats, but that's okay. Most everyone and everything hated Adolf Hitler.
Exactly.
So that's fair.
Fair enough. On the famous cat lovers side, Robert E. Lee, who was the commander of the... Speaking of cat haters, Jack says he hates them too. Robert E. Lee is a famous cat lover. He was the commander of the South during the Civil War. Also, Abraham Lincoln, the commander of the North during the Civil War.
Really?
Speaking of Abe, President Lincoln kept 4 cats in the White House.
That's fascinating about Abe, but did you know your cat purrs at the same frequency as an idling diesel engine? So this is around 26 purrs per second.
Your cat's ears can hear ultrasonic sounds. Rodents use these sounds to communicate. So your cat can hear them, but you can't, and your dog can't, your grandma can't, and your mother-in-law can't.
But none of them can use whiskers like your cat. They use their whiskers to gauge whether or not they can fit through an opening. And furthermore, your cat's collarbone does not connect to any other bones, but instead sits buried in muscle. This makes it easier for your cat to squeeze through tight spots.
Grandma's whiskers can feel their way through an opening. But, that being said, your cat purrs continuously by flowing air past the voice box during both inhalation and exhalation.
Without taurine, your cat would go blind because taurine is an amino acid that most animals produce on their own, but cats require it in their diet. So go ahead, feed your kitty some Red Bull, and they'll be just fine.
Isn't that a Hootie the Blowfish song?
Taurine?
Without taurine, your cat goes blind. Nikola Tesla got zapped by his cat.
Or Nikola Tesla.
As a child, Tesla was inspired to understand the secrets of electricity after being shocked by static electricity from his beloved cat, Macaque. I now see why you wanted me to read this one.
There you go.
Macaque.
Did you know that your cat can outrun a gold medalist? That's right. He or she actually can outrun Usain Bolt, who has been clocked at 27 miles an hour. Your little kitty, can go 30 miles an hour.
And so ends our fascinating cat facts. Good times.
Yes, that was fun.
That was kind of a spanning the globe list written specifically for the cat story of the week. I like it.
I can't wait for Emilio Snorbush to read that list.
Emilio and Tedrick Wampanish. I hear they're putting out a fascinating cat cast here in the next...
Yeah, there are a couple people that do a local cat show here, and soon enough they'll be releasing a cat podcast.
Yeah, Cat Cast or something like that?
Cat Cast USA.
Should be interesting. We will keep our ears pressed for that one. So I've been piling up a few really shitty movies in the old DVR, and I've actually watched a few. So I need to get some of these out of my head.
What do you got, man?
I think it's time to do a 1-star spoiler alert.
Oh, boy.
Do family, friends, and a rich social life keep you from watching all those really crappy movies everyone else gets to enjoy? Well, don't worry. It's time for another 1-star movie spoiler alert.
Oh. I want to just make a fire.
So relaxing.
Curl up in front of the fireplace.
And
watching the worst movie in mankind.
Really crappy movie. So this week's, or this spin, I can't call it weekly because thank God I don't have to do this weekly. This time around, our 1-star movie is the 2012 release, Red Dawn. Basically a blatant remake with some tweaks thrown in of the 84 Red Dawn. The 84 film, and this is kind of one of the big differences. The 84 film, for its time, had some really good actors in it. Well, popular actors, or actors that would go on to become very popular.
Like Sean Astin,
Patrick Swayze.
Right.
C. Thomas Howell, who was a little bit of a flash in the pan.
Well, he was big in like the mid-'80s.
Yeah, but
he's done like bit parts
tailed
here
off.
and there. He really did.
He tailed off after that.
C. Thomas Howell.
Charlie Sheen was in that.
That's right.
Leah Thompson was in that.
That's right.
Jennifer Grey, who was also
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
Yes, baby was put in a corner by the Russians in 84.
Damn commies.
It was the Wolverines. It was basically in 84. It was the Russians. In the 2012 adaptation, this is kind of one of the few things I found very interesting about this movie. It opens with there's a big economic crisis.
Trying to make it believable.
In the European nation. So it's topical, right? There was the whole failure of the Greek banks, the European economy bailing out all those. So essentially it opens with an economic crisis in Europe. And then that weakens NATO. So they have to throw all the plausibles at you at the first, right? Well,
sure.
If this happened and this happened and this happened and this happened, where in 84, the Cold War was at its height. I mean,
oh yeah, I remember.
And I won't say that we lived in constant fear. I mean, they didn't ever do air raid science when we had to climb under our desks like in World War II. I mean,
actually, we did have to do drills.
I don't ever remember doing like a.
Well, I don't know if there was like an actual a nuclear drill. Maybe it was just like earthquake drills. Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
It could be the air raid drills back in like the World War II, Korean conflict. All of that. It wasn't quite that bad in the 80s, but it was a constant. I don't even call it a threat because I don't ever think I lived in I don't ever think I felt threatened, but it was very well publicized and you knew who the bad guy was.
Sure.
It was Cold War Russia and there was kind of imminent nuclear danger, I guess.
Let's get on with Swayze, or let's get on with the new one.
The new one stars Chris
Hemsworth. Isn't that Thor?
Hemsworth.
That's
Thor. Although he didn't have his hammer in this one, so I was a little confused as to why he just didn't pick up his hammer and whoop some ass. Josh Peck, Josh Hutcherson. I don't know who either of those.
Who are these people?
Yeah, thank you. Adrienne Palicki, Isabel Lucas, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Google it, kids, because I ain't got time. So essentially, all right, back to the interesting part of this. They wrote this as China was this big invasion force, and it was all the degradation of the European economy, the weakening of NATO, the increased deployment of U.S. troops abroad, and then cyber warfare comes into play. So essentially it knocks out a big chunk of the Pacific as far as electronics and a whole bunch of other stuff. So they use this electronic breakage to invade Washington State. But the funny thing is, they got to the production stage and they said, well, we can't, there's a huge movie market in China. We can't make China, abroad. China's probably the number 2 market for U.S. films if they clear the screening and they can be shown in China. So they said, screw it, we're not going to alienate the Chinese market. So at the last second, they pulled all the references to China and made it all North Korea.
Oh, jeez. Really?
So, well, it shows you kind of how weak the movie was, that it doesn't even really matter who it is.
It would have been more plausible.
Well, we've
if it was
hired the
China.
extras, and they're Asian. So what the fuck?
Yeah, because nobody can tell the difference between a Chinese man and a North Korean man.
Actually, I can tell. Well, I don't think it. Yeah,
ridiculous.
Clearly, there are some pretty easy ways to identify.
Yes,
all the different.
Yes, there are
all the different Asian races. Anyway,
the what about are not racist.
Oh no,
stereotypical.
Well, highly stereotypical,
very stereotypical,
but not about race.
That's right. Yes, exactly.
So basically, it continues to rip off the '84 theme, and the whole movie sucks. Gives a pretty decent. Oh boy.
It's time for producer Jay's Karaoke Blast. Karaoke Blast.
Karaoke Blast.
I had to cut you off on that one, man. Sorry.
Well,
you were about to launch.
Failure to launch, but a good failure to launch. And I guess I shouldn't have said air raid siren. That might have just tipped the hand there.
Could have. Now the NSA is listening to us. Good job.
Hey, you're the one who played the siren, not me. It's been a good few weeks since we've done a Karaoke Blast.
Yeah.
Glad to hear that we've got one. What do we have?
In honor of our boy Toby from last week's episode, the Justin Bieber lookalike.
Yes.
I put together a little ditty that Justin Bieber did that kind of made him big, and here it is.
Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, whoa, whoa.
Oh, God.
You know you love me. I know you care. You show whenever, and I'll be there. You are my love. You are my heart.
What a bass.
And we would never, ever, ever be apart. Oh, we and Adam.
Oh, God.
Don't quit playing. We're just friends. What are you saying? Take another look right in my eyes. My first love broke my heart for the thrill of my baby, 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 ooh, baby, 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 no, I'm baby, 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 ooh, thought you'd always be mine, baby, 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 ooh, I'm like baby, 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 oh, I'm like baby, 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 ooh, thought you'd always be mine.
Oh, wow.
And I got you beat there, Toby. I'm the true Biebs super fan.
You are now a believer. Officially a believer.
Always have been.
I'm going to have to try and effort you a believer t-shirt or some believer apparel. It was well worth it. Well worth it.
Circa when he was 15. Because he's the preeminent celebrity douche right now. But when he was 15 years old, he was but an innocent kid.
Well, yeah, but I think he's still a douche.
Oh, yeah, big.
Congratulations on your Karaoke Blast. That was well done, sir.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Makes me want to just leave.
Made me want to vomit.
Well, hey.
And I was the one singing it.
Well, why don't we just get the hell out of here then? Before we do, every week, I feel I need to perhaps reintroduce this, just in case it's your first trip into the land of the what about. Every week, Producer Jay takes the drops from the week before, which are all the ums and the ers and some of the burps and some of the yawns and some of the other crap we do as we masterfully produce this show for you, and puts them together into what we call This Week in Vocal Pauses. Do you have that ready for us, Jay?
You betcha.
Do it. Oh, wow. I knocked my, hang on.
Oh my
that was
God.
a rough one. I knocked my microphone over and everything else. Is that Chuck Mangione?
Yes, it was.
Nice.
Yeah. Live in some show he was doing in the late 80s.
Well, it was certainly live. Dear God. Well, at least we jumped the track late in the show.
Yes.
It's always
Yeah,
good.
I agree. Boy.
Well, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
Whew. That was a rough one.
29's in the books.
29 in the books for Chuck Mangione and producer Jay. Chris here. Till next week. That'll do, pig. That'll do.
You've been listening to What About Pod, a part of the Mixed Media Network. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at What About Pod. We're also on iTunes and Stitcher. Download the Stitcher app today on Android or Apple platforms. This show brought to you by the Moray Eels of Comedy and Brake Fluid. Until next time, Travis Shemockery.